At just 6 years old, everyone thought his story had ended. Declared dead after a tragic accident, his family mourned, neighbors whispered, and the world moved on. But life has a strange way of rewriting destinies, and sometimes the impossible finds a way back. 5 years later, far above the clouds, in the cockpit of one of the world's most advanced fighter jets, a group of elite F-22 pilots received a call sign that made them freeze mid-air. Ghost Rider. The words crackled over the radio, simple, yet heavy with a weight none of them could explain. These were pilots trained to react to the unexpected, to remain calm under pressure, yet something about that call sign sent a chill through the squadron. Rumors swirled on the base. Who or what was Ghost Rider? No one knew the full story, but whispers hinted at a mystery tied to someone believed to have vanished forever. Somewhere beneath the radar, a story of survival, resilience, and a destiny rewritten was quietly unfolding. As the jets roared across the sky, every second felt like a countdown to a revelation that could change everything these pilots thought they knew. Ghost Rider wasn't just a name, it was a signal, a puzzle, a warning, and perhaps a miracle. The question now hung in the air like smoke. Who was Ghost Rider? And why had the universe brought him back in a way no one could ignore? The answer would shake their world, and when it came, no one would be prepared. 5 years earlier, the world had turned its back on him. Hospital reports, official statements, even the small marker on his gravestone said he was gone. His parents carried grief like a shadow, unable to move on, haunted by the image of their little boy who would never come home. Yet, somewhere, somehow, he had survived. No one knew exactly how. Rumors of a miraculous rescue circulated quietly, but without proof. The story faded into whispers until now. Back on the flight line, the F-22 pilots couldn't shake the memory of the last time Ghost Rider had been mentioned in military circles. The name had a history, tied to missions so classified that even the most seasoned veterans only spoke of it in hushed tones. Some said it was a ghost story among pilots, a call sign used in emergencies or when something unexplainable happened in the skies. Others swore the original Ghost Rider had vanished under circumstances just as mysterious as the boy once declared dead. As the jets sliced through the clouds, the squadron tried to focus, but every instinct screamed that something extraordinary was happening. Radar blips seemed to shift, formations wavered, and the call sign repeated again. Louder, sharper, almost as if it were calling directly to someone. Among the pilots, unease grew. Every training exercise, every simulated mission, had prepared them for countless dangers, but nothing could prepare them for the human story behind Ghost Rider. In the quiet moments between the roar of engines, questions churned. How could someone once declared dead return in a way that defied explanation? And what had led him from the edge of life back into the skies, leaving the world and the pilots on the brink of a revelation they weren't ready for? The answers were out there, but reaching them would take more than skill. It would take courage, instinct, and a willingness to confront the impossible. The tension on the flight line was almost tangible. Pilots whispered theories about Ghost Rider, some suggesting it was a top-secret project, others convinced it was something beyond explanation. Among them, Lieutenant Harper felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He had trained for every possible threat, but the uncertainty gnawed at him. Who or what was out there? And why now, after all these years? Meanwhile, back at headquarters, the intelligence officers scrambled to piece together fragmented reports. Every sensor reading, every intercepted signal, hinted at a presence that didn't fit any known profile. Analysts argued over the data, debating whether this was a rogue pilot, an advanced drone, or something entirely different. In the midst of the chaos, one young analyst, Mara, noticed a pattern others had missed. The timing of Ghost Rider's appearances aligned suspiciously with certain military operations that had previously gone catastrophically wrong. On the ground, families of missing personnel began to stir as rumors spread. Some remembered tales of a boy who had survived against all odds, and questions long buried resurfaced. Could Ghost Rider be connected to those unexplained disappearances? Were they witnessing a single person, or a larger force at work? High above, the pilots maintained formation, but the air felt charged, as if the sky itself was waiting for something. Radar signals flickered, engines hummed louder, and every instinct screamed that the next move would change everything. The main conflict wasn't just about identifying Ghost Rider, it was about confronting the unknown, challenging what they believed possible, and facing the consequences of a secret that had waited years to surface. And as the first hint of movement appeared on the radar, every pilot realized the story they had trained for was no longer fiction. It was coming alive in real time. The sky darkened with the threat of an approaching storm, though the pilots didn't notice. Their focus was entirely on the blip that had appeared on every radar screen, moving with precision no aircraft they had ever encountered could match. Ghost Rider wasn't just a call sign anymore, it was a presence, a force that seemed to challenge every law they had been taught. Lieutenant Harper's hands tightened on the controls, sweat forming along his brow. Every instinct screamed that this was no ordinary mission, and every second stretched like an eternity. Behind him, the other pilots exchanged tense glances, each one silently acknowledging the same truth. They were in the middle of something far bigger than any training exercise. Mara's analysis flashed across their Comes-an alert, so cryptic it raised more questions than answers. Trajectory is impossible, she said, her voice tight. It shouldn't be able to move like this. Yet it's real. On the ground, intelligence teams scrambled. Senior officers barked orders, their voices sharp but tinged with fear. Every attempt to track Ghost Rider seemed to vanish in the clouds, as if the figure were deliberately toying with them. Meanwhile, whispers began spreading among the pilots. Some recalled legends. Others recounted impossible encounters from past operations, all eerily connected to the name Ghost Rider. As the F-22s closed in, a sudden flash lit the horizon. Radar signals multiplied, then vanished, leaving only silence and anticipation. The squadron held its breath, knowing the next few moments could redefine everything they believed about life, death, and survival. Every heart pounded in unison, every mind racing with questions that demanded answers. Ghost Rider was close, closer than anyone had imagined, and when the truth revealed itself, it would shatter every expectation. The tension was unbearable, the moment before revelation stretching impossibly long, and in that silence, the pilots sensed it. Whatever came next, nothing would ever be the same. Just as the squadron braced for the unknown, a new signal pierced the comms, sharp, deliberate, and unmistakably human. Ghost Rider, this is command. Identify yourself immediately. The voice crackled, tension hanging in every syllable. But instead of a reply, the radar lit up with multiple blips, too many to be a single aircraft. Harper's eyes widened. This wasn't just one presence, it was an entire formation, moving with eerie coordination, like shadows dancing just beyond reach. The pilots felt a chill. The pattern of movement suggested intelligence, strategy, and something almost personal. Ghost Rider wasn't just appearing. Here they was challenging them, testing the limits of their skills and their understanding of reality. Mara's voice came over the come again, quieter this time, almost breathless. They're impossible for conventional jets, and yet, they're synchronized with every movement of our squadron. On the ground, panic rippled through the intelligence teams. Senior officers argued over what they were witnessing. Some urged retreat, insisting no one could confront this force. Others were desperate to understand it before it vanished again. Every second, the stakes rose. Every pilot understood that the line between survival and disaster was thinner than ever. And then Harper noticed that a single, flickering blip, moving against the others, almost as if it were separate from the swarm. Recognition hit him like lightning. Something about the movement felt familiar, hauntingly so. Stirring memories of stories long buried, memories of a boy declared dead at 6. Could Ghost Rider really be the one they had all been told was gone? The thought was impossible, yet the evidence was undeniable. The sky seemed to hold its breath, with radar screens alive, engines roaring, and the unknown pressing closer. The pilots realized the battle wasn't just about airspace, it was about truth, survival, and the staggering reality that Ghost Rider had returned, not alone, but with a plan that none of them could yet see. The tension snapped like a taut wire. Harper's F-22 surged forward, closing the distance to the flickering blip that had haunted him through every second of the flight. As he drew closer, the shape became unmistakably a lone pilot, cloaked in the shadows of a stealth jet, moving with uncanny precision. And then, the helmet lifted, revealing a face no one had expected. It was the boy once declared dead at 6, older, hardened by survival, eyes sharp with a determination that left every pilot frozen in awe. Ghost Rider had returned, alive against all odds, and now he was commanding the swarm that had been shadowing them. He spoke over the calm but commanding.